to the floor show, and great Scott. We have two Scotts, Scott Redler and Scott Bauer. Mr. Redler, I will begin with you. There are a whole bunch of other issues that could continue to drive this, and that's a relatively stable consumer here, not to mention decent earnings, right?
Exactly. I think the consumer has been driving things, and so has earnings. But then, multi-months ago, we started to get a little bit slower, and that's when the Fed turned dovish. So instead of raising rates, they're now holding packed. I don't think they're going to cut rates, and I think that alone could keep this market going. Right now, we're waiting for first quarter earnings, and I do think that they're not going to be great, but they're probably just enough to keep us going where the Fed stays flexible and patient, and this rally that we've been having for multiple months and multiple years, I think can continue. We just got to make sure that the trends stay intact. And right now, traders are looking at to make sure if we stay above 28.60 in the S&P cash, we're trying to stay with the trade.
Scott Bauer, we got the producer price index number this morning for the month of March. That's a fancy way of saying, what inflation is at the manufacturing level. And it spiked up 0.6%. Now, the core, which kind of excludes the noisy food and energy, which last I checked we all need and use, but let's by all means exclude that, was actually flat. So that didn't look so bad. Does that mean that the Federal Reserve says, you know what, we don't have to move?
For right now, absolutely, and as well they shouldn't. And if anything, Liz, I truly believe that there's going to be a chance as the year progresses here of a rate hike, not a rate cut. That being said, look at what yeah, I really do. I think we're on solid footing. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. No, seriously, I look at the comments made today. And yes, you have to be cautious. The IMF has to be cautious for global outlook because things are not rosy. However, I don't think they're as bad as what everybody says. Yes, the tax incentives, the tax stimulus, that is abating here. But like Scott Redler said just a few moments ago, with earnings season's coming up, I don't see it being gangbusters, but also I think that there is a number that is already kind of baked into this market for some really poor expectations. And unless we get just blowout to the downside growth expectations that are so bad, I think we're going to come out of this really well. And I think that as the year progresses here, we're going to level off. The economy is going to be just fine.
Yep, I agree. I do not see any kind of falling off a cliff. It's great to see both of you.